I want to talk about a game today called Jet Island. Now, to preface, I think it's critical to understand the importance of VR locomotion. Basically, it's the way your character in VR moves within the environment. When a game offers a dope locomotion style, especially the ones you can't do in real life, you just feel like a complete badass. Now, unfortunately, a lot of VR games that move faster than a snail's pace are going to generate a lot of barf simulator type comments. But luckily, my body doesn't prevent myself from having fun, so I can do crazy stuff like a Matrix backflip double easy bullet time mowdown. But players like me are seemingly in the minority. I don't really speak up because it's more likely for someone to complain about an issue than it is for someone to praise something working correctly. Now, in the olden days, a lot of VR devs played it safe by using teleport as the main locomotion style, as it was a simple trick to alleviate VR sickness by having the player anchored to their play space. And despite Boneworks claiming it's a thing of the past,
at the dawn of our virtual world, many early inhabitants found themselves limited by the primitive concepts of short-range warp locomotion.
you still see it crop up, like Half-Life Alyx deciding to play it safe by opting to teleport over gaps instead of the full freedom to jump. Valve devs even stated that they were averse to making a Portal VR game because of the same fear of locomotion sickness for those sorts of players. However, many games do now allow you to freely move like as if you were using WASD, and this we call free locomotion. But Jet Island has a really unique locomotion style. It's sort of like a combination of Attack on Titan's ODM gear, but you have a surfboard that lets you glide, kinda like those old CF Surf maps that I'd play for hours. And then on top of that, it's also kinda like Shadow of the Colossus, where the bosses are gigantic structures themselves that you have to enter and destroy from the inside out. The bosses are absolutely massive, and it's awesome to see something like that in VR. Now this does serve as a bit of progression. There's 4 bosses, 5 if you count the worm, and there's some mini bosses that will give you some skill ups and power ups. You'll need them to be able to reach the top to actually get to that giant worm. Now, it's not the first Spider-Man-esque grappling hook game like this. I've played similar games like the Jupiter demo, which was cool, but not cool enough to make me want to buy it. And there's also Resist, which I'll admit did add way more story and enemies, which does make it feel more fleshed out. The preview path is a nice quality of life as well for figuring out the physics of it at first, and it had a pretty extensive tutorial to teach you how to play the game in general. But there's really something to Jet Island that the others don't do for me. Now, you're probably thinking, this game looks like shit. It does, but stay with me for a second. This is one of those games where gameplay is king. The locomotion alone just makes it so much fun that I can overlook any graphical shittiness. It did take me a little while to understand the controls at first and get used to the physics, but once I did, I was having so much fun going as fast as possible and doing all these crazy flips, and just playing like I would play in a skate park or something. It's kinda like that free-form emergent gameplay kind of thing. And I love how the Worms boss's music is just some random ass dubstep. Even though I've beaten the game, I find myself going back just to surf around like it's a giant sandbox, purely for the enjoyment of the locomotion. I really just love the sort of flow that you can get into, and mastering the movements really pays off when you can go at such high speeds and zip around, especially in the late game when you get a lot of power-ups. Oh, and it actually supports up to 4-player co-op. Unfortunately, as it goes with a lot of older multiplayer VR titles, it lacks an active community. So I wasn't able to actually film it, but I did do it around when the title was fairly new, and it's pretty fun showing the ropes to new players or just flying around with your buddies. You can even high-five them in midair. If you do manage to scrounge up some people, you'll definitely have fun. Anyway, I highly recommend giving this a try, as it has such a unique locomotion style. And that's it. Peace out.